The final part of our linear voyage has been all about the solid bag. It's actually a rig that I use a lot in my own fishing. I didn't used to, I overlooked it for many, many years, but it was talking to Rob Burgess at one of the winter shows, watching him tying them up, and I just realised that it wasn't only me that overlooked them. I think it was probably half of the carp angling fraternity. They are devastational. You've got a perfect little pile of attraction there with a rig, a lead, all folded up neatly inside, and it can be cast almost anywhere. When tied correctly, when kept nice and tight like these ones here, they can be cast a long way too. What I really like about them is I like to use them as a single hook bait approach in the spring, because whilst it's obviously going to make a little bit more splash than your conventional lead and maybe a little pop-up, you are having so much more attraction in that zone for a single that I really think it helps carp to hone in on it. Before I cast out, I always opt to sort of inject the bag with one of the many Kiana Supreme goos, because again, it's just oozing attraction. But because I only fill mine with various different ground pellets from the mainline spot and pellet mix, I use some little Hinders crushed pellet in there as well. Because all you've essentially got down there is a little pile of crumb and powder and flavour, the only substantial food item is your hook bait. So Mr. Carp comes in, he takes one big inhale at the whole area, and because you've got concertina in there, 4.5 inches of soft, supernatural braid, it can't help but go into the back of his mouth and give you a much greater chance of that all-important bottom lip hook hold. But as I just said, that's my spring tactic, using it as a single. When I'm fishing over bait like I am here, it just ensures that, again, my 3 hook baits that are sitting amongst the spotted area of attraction are going to be the bits that stand out the most. So when the carp do come in, I still believe these can get me quicker bites. I've had times recently where I've been fishing spinner rigs over the top of bait and I've been getting the odd bite, stick a solid bag just off the side or even in amongst it, and it goes almost straight away. That is the power that these little bags hold. If you're overlooking them, it's definitely worth having a play. Now, lots of people think they're really, really difficult to tie, and they're messy, and if you get the cast wrong, it's a waste of time. And to a certain extent, they're right, but all it takes is practice. All I do is take the small bags, they're the ones that I use the most. There's 4 different sizes available, from extra small, small, medium and large. Small ticks most of the boxes for me. I've not got too much bait in there, but I feel I've got just enough for a bite. I put a tiny amount of pellet in the bottom. I then put my hook bait down in the bottom left-hand corner and make sure I get the hook laying flat. Small amount of pellet in to cover it. Drop my 3.5 ounce inline square lead over the top. Bit more pellet. And what you then kind of do is work the lead up through the bag, and it's allowing your rig to concertina, so there's no chance of it tangling until I get to about 3/4 full. Then it's a case of holding the top, patting it all down to get it nice and tight, twisting it up again, patting all the while. Then I just wrap it up and tie it off with a couple of granny knots with some PVA tape, and you're almost finished, but not quite. That will still look pretty tight. Then you turn it upside down, and what you can probably see there is that I've got the corners all stuck down. So once you're at the stage that it's tied off at the top, you simply hold the corners, really shake them, lick, pull them across nice and tight, and repeat the other side. And what you are left with is an aerodynamic ball of goodness. I mentioned dropping the hook bait into the bottom of the bag, but it's also important to point out that the hook baits that I use always have a level of buoyancy. Some people like little pop-ups in there and shot it down. Personally, I like to use a wafter style hook bait because they still have the buoyancy needed to work its way to the top of the pile of bait once it's melted in the water. So I often use really small hook baits, little 12mm balance wafters from Mainline, either the Essential IB, some of the Diamond Whites. Give them a little goo up before they're going, like long time before I'm due to use them. So again, they're oozing attraction the whole time. And as you'll see, as the bag breaks down, after a little period of time, whatever hook bait you're using will just work its way to the top of the bag, and it gives a really nice little sight marker, as well as like I say, oozing that attraction. You can see that I'm holding a small lead core leader there. It's one of the PVA lead core leaders that we do. Doesn't actually have lead in. As you can see, it's very, very supple. But it's spliced one end, it's got a loop there, and that's how I attach it to my main line. I've got a big loop tied in my main line, so I simply pass that through the small loop to loop it on, and it's ready to go. So if you do miscast, you can very quickly and easily take it off And as you can see here, pick up another one. I like to have as many pre-tied as I possibly can, especially with conditions like I'm facing today. I'm now casting into a headwind, I've been casting into a crosswind, and as much as it would be nice to think they're all going out there first time every time, they really don't. And as I've said before, close enough just isn't good enough. So if it isn't right, I can quickly reel it in and get another one straight on until it is bang where I want it.